So this, I would say, is probably one of the most, if not the most important presentation of this whole thing on a personal level, for your own spiritual development, your own spiritual direction. So really, this particular lesson is really significant to help us, as it says here, finding our mission within the mission. Where is our place in this huge institution known as ISKCON? Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay. Arjuna was confused on the battlefield, and sooner or later he had to realize that he couldn't understand what was his duty. So then he finally, after speculating on what he thought was the best for him and for others, he realized he was foolish, and he said, "Krishna, now I'm a soul surrendered to you. Please instruct me." Leaders in their own areas. Someone read?
Why is it so difficult to know who are and what our duty is?
Who we are and what is our duty is. So why is it so difficult? Anybody? Maybe for some it's not so difficult, but in general it is a difficulty.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. We remain so busy with, I think, routine. Sometimes it is surviving, that we don't question why we are here, what is my purpose, who am I? And I think reading Gita then exposes one person.
Yeah, so basically what you're saying is we don't ask the right questions. We ask the wrong questions. Where's the money? Where's the food? Where's the girls? Where's the vacation spot this year? So we're always asking the wrong thing. Yeah, so that's the problem. Therefore, the right questions bring the answers that are necessary for our progress in spiritual life and in life in general. Okay. Okay, let me go back. I'm going a little too fast here. Talk a little bit about Socrates. Socrates admonished his students. He said, the unexamined life is not worth living. So basically you said the same thing. Without examining what is the purpose of life, Socrates says it's not actually life. Who am I? And Socrates knew. He knew he was a soul and not the body. When the Athenian court sentenced him to death for disrespecting the gods, the sophists, and the epicures of ancient Greece, Socrates was unafraid. How shall we bury you? They told him. They sentenced him to death. A tearful friend asked. Any way you like, Socrates says, that is if you can catch me. Because he knew they were just going to deal with his body, but he would be somewhere else. He knew he wasn't. Srila Prabhupada appreciated that Socrates was fearless in the face of death. And he knew he was the imperishable spirit, not the perishable body. Nearly 2 millenniums later, we have Shakespeare's Hamlet. And in that it says, this above all, to thine own self be true. To thine own self be true. This is coming from Polonius, but it was one of the worldly interests, not about the mortal soul. He was trying to use that same thing to understand what is your role in the material world, the earthbound self, or the material body. So nowadays we have so many magazines that are telling you what you should look like, where you should go, how you could be happy, and how you can be successful. But no one is achieving any of that. All they are is spending money on the magazines. So things are mixed up. In 1974, Prabhupada went to Switzerland and with the World Health Organization, and he spoke. He said the world is mixed up because people don't know who they are, and everyone is just vying for different material positions. So we need help. So where does help begin? This is the point. Where do we first get our help in life? And so that'll be here.
First helpers, spiritual parents.
Okay. There's, who's that there? Is that Silpesh? No. When he was a little baby, and that's his mother. Looks like you. He's kind of cute, too. Okay. Sorry about that one. Okay. Who can read that?
According to Srimad Bhagavatam 5.5.18, we should not become a spiritual master, a father, a mother, or a worshipable demigod, unless we can deliver our dependents from the path of repeated birth and death.
This is a very strong statement, and hardly anybody follows it. This is coming from the Supreme Lord himself, Rishabdev, which he speaks this verse, that the duty of a leader is to make sure that whoever they're leading can reach the goal of what they are aspiring for. In other words, spiritual master should be able to deliver his disciples back to Krishna. A father or mother also have to bring up their children in such a way that they can come to the point of the goal of life. In other words, just to bring up children and make them educated in a material way is actually deprive of them of the real goal of life, which is self-realization. So don't become a mother, don't become a father, don't become guru, or even a demigod who also gives direction, unless we can deliver our dependence on the path of repeated birth and death. So it doesn't say a father and a mother should just be a real good caretaker and an educational director. No, it says they have to have that quality. That means they have to be also on the path of devotion. Any comments about that? Yes, we have two. Yes, Raj.
Krishna Maharaj, please can you clarify the part about unless we can deliver our dependence from the path of repeated birth and death? Because just now you said, unless we're on the path. So I just wanted to clarify on the path, being able to deliver dependence.
Well, you're bringing children into the world, but so do cats and dogs bring children into the world, pigs, mice, even cockroaches. So what is the use of creating, an expansion of yourself in the form of a family member, unless you can bring them to the actual purpose of life? That means you also have to be qualified, not only as a caregiver, giving them education, food, whatever else they need to live, proper health care. But at the same time, not only same time, but in priority is that you have to guide them on the spiritual path. That means you can move them towards the spiritual master. But if you don't do that, then you're actually not qualified to have progeny. Because it's a responsibility. Leadership means great responsibility. Anyone who takes a leadership role, we all have a leadership role in some form or another in relationship to others. And we have to understand what the requirements is in order to take care of others. And the purpose of human life gives the clear understanding. Atato Brahma Jigyasa. Purpose of human life is to realize God and go back to the spiritual world. That's the goal of life. It's not about making a lot of money or getting a good position in the material world or having a lot of family members and friends. This goes on in the animal society too. The distinction between human life is higher intelligence, and that higher intelligence must be used to inquire into the purpose of life. And therefore, those who are in a position of leadership should bring about these persons that they bring into the world or lead, such as gurus, to the path of bhakti. That's the statement. This is spoken by, not by any sadhu, this is spoken by the Supreme Lord himself in the form of Rishabdev, who was an incarnation of the Supreme Lord. So yeah. Okay, we have Sri Devi has a question.
I just have a comment and a question, Guru Maharaj. The whole thing is not here. It should be spiritual master, husband also is included, I believe. Father, mother, worshipable demigod, and even husband is there, right? That's missing here.
Where does it say husband?
Isn't the 5518 include husband also?
Well, husband means father also, right?
Okay, alright. My question, not question so much as a comment, Guru Maharaj. I remember one young mother telling me when she was pregnant that Radhanath Maharaj, her spiritual master, asked her, so, can you follow this injunction? Will you be able to deliver your child from the path of repeated birth and death? And she answered, I don't know that I can, but I can introduce him or her to you, Guru Maharaj, and you can.
Yeah, that's the
So
same.
is that good enough?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
That has to be there. It's
Right.
not that the parents become the guru.
Okay.
They're the first guru to guide up until a certain time where they can be qualified to accept a spiritual master.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
same thing. Yes.
So can you imagine this 5518, we are also saying worshipable demigod. So we should not be even the worshipable demigod if you cannot deliver your dependence. So here, we see most of the people, they are into demigod worship. So whoever are, so should we let them do their own practices because it might lead them to...
You're trying to get around the the philosophy here. You're taking the back door in. Okay. She's very intelligent. But I'm not sure. A demigod is also an anga of the Supreme Lord, and they're devotees. Demigods are generally devotees. They're sakama devotees. That means they have material desires. But still, they're devotees. So if they're taking the role of guiding others, they should also include that guidance should be also towards Krishna. They may also give material benefits, but at the same time, they also should, play the role of a guru and guide, or at least lead, and the same point is there, to lead someone to where they can get the spiritual guidance that they need. So there's Lord Brahma. I mean, you have Shiva, you have Narada, and some of the other lesser demigods, but they're all very powerful personalities. Okay.
So I think ultimately Vedas have that provision. Yes, people do concoct, but actually the worshipable demigods, they do lead to the...
Yeah, or they defer to Krishna. They should. If they don't, then they're not playing their role. Because Krishna says, whatever the demigods can give, it's coming from me anyway. So why go to a lesser one when you can go to the source?
Thank you.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
I have a follow-up question, just 1 second. So Guru Maharaj, what Amrita Nam said about the worshipable demigod, that means even the demigod has a duty to deliver his dependence to Krishna.
Everyone in the role of a leader, yeah. Yeah, if you're a leader, you have to understand what does it mean to lead your follower.
But the demigods themselves get bewildered sometimes and fall to illusion.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that doesn't take away their responsibility.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I wish to comment, Guru Maharaj. This is very important statement or instructions, and sadly or unfortunately, I think lack of education or parents not.
This is also this is the contraceptive method. This is the contraceptive method. In other words, don't have children if you can't do it. Or you're not willing to try. Yeah, this is the, Prabhupada also said, this is the contraceptive method.
Can I comment something? Guru Maharaj, can I say something?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
If it's too long, please stop me.
Just get right to the point.
Right to the point, that's why, it's came in my mind. Like Shivaji Maharaj, when Mother Jijibai was pregnant, and when he couldn't sleep at night, and Mother was singing all the time about Ram, Lakshman, everything, singing to Shivaji. So when he born, he is always a Krishna conscious. And same with me, the way I born and brought up in Ishtapita in 30s, 90s. Parents used to sing all the time this.
Okay, yeah.
Right? So we have got that culture. When I have got my children, like example.
Yeah, that's real culture. That's real culture, and that's real care of those who are in a lesser position. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Krishna.
Thank you. So now they have, when they can't take responsibility for producing children, they come up with this thing called Planned Parenthood. This was created by the demons, Planned Parenthood, to reduce the population, and the extension of that is abortion. So even in the womb, the soul is not safe. Okay, so it's very important. I would suggest you do further research on this. You can read the purport, Srila Prabhupada's purport, that is in connection with this verse, yeah.
Guru Maharaj, I have a question. When you mentioned Planned Parenthood, nowadays we have all kinds of surrogate parenting happening. The womb of somebody.
What is the Planned Parenthood? Sterilization. That's what they're doing. They don't say stop having union. They're saying Planned Parenthood is, well, you can still, you know, get together, but there will be no children. So the program is sterilization. That was done by Bill Gates' father. Bill Gates' father was the author of Planned Parenthood. And they started with the African nations and just giving sterilization. They want to sterilize people so the population doesn't get so big. So they say, but we say, don't have sex. That's all. If you're not going to have children, not about this sterilization. Planned Parenthood is sterilization. That's what it is.
I have a little question about that. Nowadays, there is something called surrogate parenting.
What is it
You
called?
hire somebody's womb to have your child because you don't want your figure to get out of shape. So your egg and your husband's sperm or someone's sperm is taken.
This is all nonsense.
Right. But then who's the real mother and father? Because now you've hired somebody's womb for your child. So how does all that play out in terms of karma?
It's just garbage, that's all. Don't even, I mean, what's the use to even mention something like that? It's just trash.
No, because
That's the feature of Kali Yuga. How many different genders are in the world today? How many? 27 different genders. Krishna created 2 that I know. He didn't give any purport about the rest, or didn't say refer to this shastra to find out what the other 25 were. And the world is crazy. It is completely lunatic. People are doing things that have nothing to do with human culture. They're inventing all of these ideas. Because you have to understand one thing. Material life leads to frustration, unless frustration leads to madness. And when people become mad, they do anything. And people who are in a leadership position take charge and create all of these crazy ideas. And they're expert at explaining why this is progress. AI, it's the same thing. The world, if you look at the world today, I mean, it's in real, what's the word? It's deteriorating in morality, aesthetic values, spirituality. Everything is going down, down, down. And even decent people are plugging into that and considering it something new, something that is helpful. Because you have to understand one thing. Material life is boring. It is boring. You have to come up with something different, something new. And there's nothing new under the sun. So you create all of these, what we say, wild plans. I mean, there's so many things going on. I just mentioned one of them. Yeah. Anyway. That's why Prabhupada would very emphatically and repeatedly say Krishna consciousness is the only thing that can save the world. He said it many times. Why? Because it teaches how to live life in such a way you can be materially sound, healthy, happy, and also make progress towards the goal of life. Krishna consciousness includes the material too, but in the way that the material is meant to be performed. And the essence of that, of course, is the Varnashram. Okay? So you can go, there's a long list of crazy things. So, okay. Okay, so here's a very interesting statement. Someone would like to read?
These children are given to us by Krishna. They are Vaishnavas, and we must be very careful to protect them. These are not ordinary children, they are Vaikuntha children, and we are very fortunate we can give them a chance to advance further in Krishna consciousness. That is a very great responsibility. Your duty is very clear.
Yeah. So Prabhupada wrote this letter to Arundhati. She was Prabhupada's disciple. And the whole story is that she was doing pujari work in Columbus, Ohio. This was in the beginning of the 1970s. And she had a 2-year-old child. And so she was trying to do her service and at the same time take care of her 2-year-old child. She wrote Prabhupada and she said, I'm finding it difficulty to take care of my child and to do this service. And Prabhupada wrote back, one of the things that are not included in this statement, Prabhupada wrote in the letter, child worship is more important than deity worship. Hare Krishna. Prabhupada was, he was not a fanatic saying, just forget about your child and give it to somebody else and do your service. No. The mother's duty is to make sure the child gets everything they need, especially in the very early part of their life. So then Prabhupada, this was part of the same letter. These are not ordinary children. When they come into the family of devotees, they're actually sent by Krishna. So they can continue their progress. Obviously, many of them were devotees in a previous life, and now they continue when they take birth again in devotee families. Any comments, questions? Yes.
When Prabhupada saying they are Vaikuntha children, doesn't that mean like from the spiritual world, but then no other children?
I think Prabhupada is just showing, maybe using the example of how important they are. I think he's just using an adjective to really. He's saying in one sense that children are special. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes.
Krishna, can you please clarify the use of the term child and children? Because one meaning may be the child is like 5, 10, 15 years old, and another meaning of child may be their child for life, like 50, 60, 70 years.
Somebody who has more knowledge of that, I would refer to Sri Devi. She takes care of, she's a pediatrician? Yeah, so she can answer that question. I don't want to guess.
Generally, we consider up to the age of 18 as pediatric age, and after 18, the child is considered and capable of taking their own independent decisions. Like if an 18-year-old came to me for treatment, I would say, yeah, you can do so. But if someone below 18, I would say, you need your parents' consent.
Okay. Fine? Okay. So now we move into the same topic, but now who do we have here?
Dhruva Maharaj.
That's Dhruva Maharaj, correct? And now we get the second helpers, the spiritual teachers. Now we went first guide is the parents, now the spiritual teachers.
Dhruva Maharaj indirectly informed the great sage Narada that there are 4 kinds of human spirit: the Brahminical spirit, the Kshatriya spirit, the Vaishya spirit, and the Sudra spirit. Unless a child is trained according to his tendency, there is no possibility of his developing his particular spirit.
Stop there. Unless a child is trained according to his tendency, there is no possibility of developing his particular spirit. Think about that. Okay.
It was the duty of a spiritual master or teacher to observe the psychological movement of a particular boy and thus train him in a particular occupational duty.
Mm-hmm. Instead of just educating him in ABCs and then sending him out after some time to make some money. And let him choose what kind of occupation he wants to do in order to stabilize his economic life. So, no, it's actually the duty of both the, as it says here, second helpers, spiritual teachers, to observe their disciples and see what is their nature, their spirit, and then move them in that direction, particular psychological nature of a particular person. So we were talking about that in the previous seminar, how there are 4, Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Sudra. So of course education is required in order to enhance, but there is a particular nature that is observable even at a young age. And that is the duty, it's a duty of the spiritual master, to see the disciples or even parents to seeing their children and see what is their nature and how, and to direct them in that way to a particular occupation. Okay, do we have a microphone here?
Maharaj, it is mentioned spirit. So a soul may be born as a Brahmin in one life and he may be in Vaishya or Kshatriya in another life. Is it possible? Then why is it mentioned spirit here?
Well, that's not a, that means what is there in the present life, that's all. How can we really, you can't do anything in relationship to previous lives. It's in the present life, that's all. Developing his particular spirit. Spirit means his particular way of acting, thinking, doing, moving, talking. This is the spirit of the person, like that. More or less, it's more or less his personality. Okay?
So this 3 varnas doesn't apply to the soul, right? It applies to the particular body the person has.
Right. Varnas are material.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay.
The spiritual master will say that you work like this. That is natural. Just like in school, college, somebody is being trained up as a scientist. Somebody is trained up as an engineer, as a medical man, as a lawyer. According to the tendency, practical psychology of the student, he is advised that you take this line. So, by the instruction of the Guru, the real purpose is Krishna consciousness, and according to his guna and karma, he's engaged in a particular occupational duty.
Yeah, according to his guna and karma, like that. So Prabhupada just uses example how in the material world people are following a certain theme of life, and they're going to school and they're getting trained up in that way. So our evaluation system comes from the spiritual master, and he sees their nature and he engages them in that way. And what is the goal? Samsiddhi haritoshanam, to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So one can satisfy the Supreme Lord by executing their activities in devotional service. That is the perfection. And by engaging people according to their qualities and nature, they will work in a very what we say, thoughtful and a very, what we say, enthusiastic way. Okay? Aye, Haribo. Shruta Kirti Prabhu ki jai. Okay. So. Thank you. Yes. So what is the question?
Maharaj, I was a little confused because the first part was talking about the person or the student is being trained up, like school, college, profession, and then it goes on to talk about the guru looks at the qualities of that individual and shows the direction, the line they should go into. So should the guru be involved with the individual person at an early stage in life?
Yeah, that's his duty, to observe his disciples and to engage them accordingly, so they can serve the Lord in the best possible way and make progress and please the Lord. Okay, here's my friend again. Okay. If you remember the previous slide, Dhruva Maharaj was instructed by Narada Muni. But did he take the instructions?
No.
Hmm?
No.
No.
Not at first.
What did he say?
Your instructions are very nice, but they are for a Brahmana. I'm a Kshatriya. So I cannot...
Narada was speaking to him as if he was a Brahmana. But he said, very nice instructions, but it's not for me. I want revenge. I want a kingdom better than my father, my grandfather, even my great-grandfather, who was Lord Brahma. He was determined to get revenge and at the same time a very powerful position. And so he's performing austerities. Narada saw that he was such a young boy, told him, it's nice what you're doing, but, go home, stay with your mother, and after some time when you grow up, you can start getting on into all of this. But Narada wasn't saying that in order to make Dhruva go back home. He was testing him. He was testing him just to see his determination in his execution of his austerities, which was to bring about the presence of Krishna. It was a test. And Prabhupada also mentions, and he also emphasizes, it's the duty. You ready? Okay, some of you are not going to like it. There's the duty of the spiritual master to test each and every disciple. In other words, something that needs to be, some effort has to be done in order to show the sincerity of the disciple by giving them some test. That may come by way of one's service, or may come indirect or less direct by asking, or more direct just by asking the person to do this service, whether they would be inclined to it or not. So that's the duty. So Narada was testing Dhruva Maharaj. Dhruva Maharaj passed the test by saying, I'm not a Brahmana. And then when Narada saw that, he gave him instructions how he could continue with his, his efforts to see the Supreme Lord. So, yeah.
Guru Maharaj, I wanted to ask, most of us aren't going to meet a spiritual master when we're children. So, for example, if somebody's strong in art in school, or maybe they're strong in sciences and they follow that path, and one day they come to Krishna consciousness, would the Guru Maharaj say, yes, that should be your service, use your art for Krishna? Or would he say, no, this is going to be more suited to your spiritual nature?
Yeah, that's up to the discretion of the spiritual master. If the person is actually performing the activities in a way that he wants to offer it, but if the spiritual master may also see, well, he likes art, so he's doing art because he likes it. That's all. Krishna's not in the mix. He's there somewhere, but not in the foremost. But the mood is to please the Lord. And the spiritual master will see that, and then kind of move that person to understand the purpose of the activity they're performing, and not simply the activity itself is not the goal. It's the means by which one can serve the Lord. But sometimes we like an activity, therefore we do it. Doesn't mean it's our nature just because we like it. We like things that are not good for us also. Just to use an example. Okay. Okay, any other comments on this particular point? We can move to the next slide. Okay. On selecting our spiritual masters, okay, so we want to, okay, this is the audio, and here. Oops. Okay. Audio. This is called selecting our spiritual masters. Selecting our guides. I think it's relevant for some of us, very relevant. Okay. Audio.
Therefore, nobody should accept blindly any guru, and nobody should blindly accept any desire. They must behave one another, at least for 1 year. This is the instruction by Candramauli Swami in his very bhakti last.
So, not accepting guru blindly and not accepting spiritual master blindly. So Prabhupada mentions that, and then he gives you the formula way by which you can prevent that from developing. And what is it? They must behave one another for at least 1 year. So behave, Prabhupada uses that term, which really what means observe, question, like that. So this was written by Sanatana Goswami on the instructions of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He told him to write this, which was included in the Hari Bhakti Vilas. So Guru has to see if the aspiring disciple is actually following and is serious about performing or taking initiation and becoming a follower. And the disciple, sometimes disciples get stuck. They think, well, I'm aspiring for this guru, but I don't really, after some time, I don't really want this particular person, but since I'm aspiring for him, I made some commitment. No, there's no commitment. One can change. Mm-hmm. Up until initiate. Once you're initiated, then there's no change. And that happens in our society. Sometimes one gets initiated and wants another spiritual master. That is a major offense, and it causes the disciple to fall down. And there's stories related to that. They're kind of long, so I won't go into them now. But before the initiation, there is mutual, what we say, observation. Prabhupada said, behave like that. You should question the spiritual master. You should give him a lot of questions. That way all of your doubts will be cleared, and then when you get initiated, you don't have any doubts. If you have doubts after you're initiated, then those doubts may grow, and then eventually you'll lose your, what we say, chastity towards your spiritual master. Yes, Shruta.
I was happy to hear Prabhupada speak that, because he says it, they must behave one another. So there's a comma after behave. Behave means both of them have to do what they're supposed to do. They both must behave.
Right.
Spiritual master should be doing his duty, disciple should be, because I couldn't understand it. When I heard him say it, then I could understand it clearly. I think it's a little more than just observing. They both have to do what they're supposed to do. That's
Right,
what
right.
he's saying. They both must behave.
Right.
Guru also has to behave.
Right.
As guru.
Yeah, how will the disciple understand if the guru is just speaking but not behaving?
Yes.
Yeah, nice point. Thank you. That's important. That means as a disciple you have to act as a disciple. Aspiring means performing the activities of a disciple before the formality comes, which allows you to reconsider at any time. It allows you to reconsider at any time. But therefore, in order to avoid any problems afterwards, or any doubts, any hesitations, therefore, this 1 year period. And I've seen, in our society, not only 1 year, 2 years, 5 years. I met one person who was 11 years. So, yeah, one has to show that they are actually sincere. And of course, the guru has to also show that he's qualified to lead. And that's the whole thing about Guru Tattva. No, that's a whole seminar in itself, but anyway. Okay? Any further statements on this? Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
It is said that one should try to find the Uttamadhikari as guru, but it is also said that sometimes one may accept initiation from a Madhyamadhikari.
Yeah.
So if one does that, and then later on one feels one has made a mistake, and if one does that, and then later on one feels one has made a mistake, I should have found Uttamadhikari, then what happens?
Well, the spirit, even though that person is Madhyam, he can also make progress towards Uttamam. It's not that he's stuck on that.
Okay.
There's also, one can also accept from Kanistha. It's mentioned also. That's when there's absolutely no choice left. Yeah. That's also mentioned in Nectar of Instructions. But yeah, but generally Madhyamadhikari, but okay. Finding our mission requires purification. Okay. Here we go. So here it says that in Krishna Samhita, Bhaktivinoda Thakur observes that before setting our varna, our occupational duty, we must first purify our nature. Okay. And so, reflecting on Thakur's observation, His Holiness Shivaram Swami points out in his Varnashram Compendium, which is called Determining One's Varna, that by seriously and sincerely following the devotional life Srila Prabhupada has given us, we can purify our nature in 3 ways. And the first one is rites of passage. Rites of passage, for example, is to receive first and second initiation and committing oneself either to the path of celibacy or responsible married life. So that's rites of passage, and that's called, purifying. That's the first step in purifying our nature. Okay? So we'll mention all 3, then we can discuss each one. The second one, by education and training. Immersing ourselves and allowing ourselves to be transformed by systematic scriptural study. In other words, Bhakti Shastra, Bhakti Vaibhava. And the third is regularly participating in devotional practice such as the morning program. Following the program by which Srila Prabhupada put in place for devotees to practice on a daily basis. And what are the 5 main activities in devotional service that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spoke to Rupa Goswami as the 5? Who knows? I know you know, just give someone else a chance. Who knows the 5? The first one's easy. Chanting Hare Krishna. What's the other one? Worshipping the Supreme Lord in His deity form. Yes. Living in a holy place. What is that? Srimad Bhagavatam, not just book reading. Srimad Bhagavatam. Yes. Well, that's the first one. All right. And the last one is? Serving Vaishnava. Yeah, associating with and serving the devotees. These are the 5 primary or most powerful, as is given, most powerful forms of devotional service. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu emphasized 2 of them out of the 5, chanting the holy name and serving and associating with Vaishnavas. But Srimad Bhagavatam, worshipping the Lord in His deity form, and living in a holy place, that means, you might say, well, I live outside. Well, turn your house into a holy place. You can do that. When you bring in the deity and worship the deity and offer everything to the deity, pray to the Lord, make the deity the head of the household, and base your life, everything about service to that deity who is there in your home. That's also can be considered a holy place. Okay, so any questions about these 3? Yes, Hector?
Raj, could you clarify the first one again?
Rites of passage? Yeah, that's first and second initiation. That helps to purify our nature. The qualifications and ultimately the actual initiation. Anything else? Okay. Brenda, you're very quiet. You can say something. She knows a lot. I know because she knows a lot, but she's very humble. She doesn't want to come forward. So I'm going to call on you. Get ready. Okay. It takes a village. Finding our mission requires consultation. It takes a village to do what? To raise a child. It takes a healthy spiritual community to give a devotee lifelong Krishna consciousness. In Sri Krishna Samhita, Bhakti Vinod Thakur mentions different kinds of consultations required to settle our varna. One is called consultation Consultation with?
With trusted seniors who know us well.
Okay. With trusted seniors, Now, we actually created a system called the mentorship system that is something like a definition that kind of applies to that. Seniors who know us well. Get guidance, consultation from such persons. Okay, there's another form of consultation.
With qualified seers of our past, present, and future.
Okay. So you can see each one of these has benefit. One is more personally present, the others are from Shastra. Okay.
With teachers in a Varnashram college.
Yeah. Once Varnashram college is established. And let's see. Okay.
Everywhere, wherever we have got our centre, a Varnashram college should be established to train 4 divisions. 1 class Brahmana, 1 class Kshatriya, 1 class Vaishya, 1 class Shudra. But everyone will be elevated to a spiritual platform by the spiritual activities we have prescribed.
Yeah. So the divisions are there, the education in order to bring out the qualities of the students accordingly, and then engaging them in devotional service, which is samsiddhi harihatojanam, to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's it. Okay, let's see. Okay, so now we're going to go to a series of statements. Oh, okay, so here you go. Do you have something to write with? Everyone? Write down these 3. You're going to get 3 questions now. And after you write them down, think about them. And I'm going to ask one person amongst all of you to volunteer the answer to the questions. We can have 3 different persons or one person. Okay? So, what are these people doing? Thinking, contemplating, trying to understand. So, first question is, Brenda, read it.
If I had all the money, if I had all the money I needed, what would I do?
Okay, write that down and think about the answer. Second question, you can also read.
If I had all the time I needed, what would I do?
And the third one.
To what specific service am I most drawn and forget time doing?
So what service that I really get absorbed in and I just lose track of time? Okay? Do you need time to think about this? We'll take at least a minute and see whoever's ready. Anybody ready for the first one? Just raise your hand. Dimple.
Thank you, Shamad. I would, if I had the money, I'd pay off my mortgage, I'd give up work, and then I would donate to specific gurus and projects.
Don't forget me. Shruti could use some too. He's got many projects. He wants to cook a lot of pizzas. Okay, so you would pay off your mortgage on your house. Then you would also give up working, and then you would use some of that money to support devotees and projects in ISKCON. Wonderful. Very practical and very, when we say, generous also. Okay? If I had all the time I needed, what would I do? Who wants that one? Nobody wants to reveal anything. Yes, Silpash.
I actually do have all the time I need, but I don't have the energy. So it's a bit strange, like, I want to do more Krishna conscious, but I just don't have the overall energy, but I have the time.
So, I have the time, but I'm not able to carry it out. Okay. But at least we know that if you could do that, you would just be engaged in devotional activities.
That's why I don't watch TV, I don't do any kind of that much material activity anymore.
Good, good, good. Okay, and to what specific service am I most drawn and forget time?
Making garlands.
Making garlands, nice, okay. I know what you're going to say.
I completely forget time when I am doing my art.
When you're what?
Doing my art.
Art. Yeah, she's an artist. When she gets absorbed in artwork, everybody benefits. Yeah, she's absorbed in
And I'm
it.
glad you channelized that.
I knew you would say that anyway. And see, yeah, you'd bring your son along too.
Next, coming up is that.
Okay, yes, Deepa.
I'm most drawn to cooking. I do this type of planning and meditation.
If you had all the time you needed, or if you actually get absorbed in cooking, you lose track of.
Yeah.
So you love to cook.
I love it.
Good, good. We're called the kitchen religion. Sri Devi, she would travel around the world if she had.
I love preaching, Guru Maharaj. You know that.
Okay, so you would just continue to come up with different ways to preach.
Yes.
Good.
I would love to do that.
Okay, good. This is just a little exercise. Write down, keep it to yourself, and then reflect on it. Okay, so now 3 slides in a row. These are all continuous. So who wants to read? This is all Srila Prabhupada. Somebody who can read really... Okay, Uros, can you read English really good? Everyone has their purpose in life, don't worry.
Let's be all we can be in our founder Acharya's mission. It does not matter what one is. One must dedicate everything in the service of the Lord. If one is a learned scholar, scientist, philosopher, poet, etc., then he should employ his learning to establish the supremacy of the Lord. Similarly, if one is a businessman, an industrialist, an agriculturist, etc., then one should spend his hard-earned money for the cause of the Lord. One should try to engage in the service of the Lord everything, for which one has specific attraction, and that is the way of peace and prosperity, and that is the remedial measure for all the miseries of material existence.
Yeah, whatever you have, engage it in the service of the Lord, and then you'll be happy, and you'll please Krishna by that effort, and then you'll make progress, and material existence will no longer even be a concern anymore. It'll disappear simply by the fact that you're on the spiritual platform. Okay, so this is this seminar. I hope it was helpful. Now we're going to go into the questions. Remember some of the points that were being made, so now we'll do the questions.
Srila Prabhupada appreciated Socrates.
So why did Prabhupada appreciate Socrates?
Said that we should inquire about our life, not just live like mindless, but question into the purpose of our lives.
Good. There's another point also. He knew he wasn't the body. He knew he was a spiritual being. But there's another one that really kind of encapsulates everything.
Because he was fearless.
He was fearless. There are people who are fearless, but specifically.
He was fearless of death.
He was fearless in the face of death, yeah. That's the main thing, yeah. He was fearless in the face of death. And he only can be fearless in the face of death when you know you're not the body. Otherwise, it's not possible.
Identify the greatest responsibility of parents towards their children.
I think as parents, prime duty. Hello? As parents, as we learned earlier, the prime duty is to bring children as Krishna conscious children. Sadly, the educational system, even some parents, in my case, I'll be very frank and honest, were too busy surviving, bringing us up, but didn't give the direction of spiritual development.
Yeah, the main thing is to put them on the path of spiritual life. Okay, good.
Explain the importance of training children according to their particular spirit.
Mahaprabhu, want to take that one?
Well, I think it's important because most of the children have their own natures, and according to the natures, you could engage them. Some children are more drawn towards kirtan or arts or something else, and then you cannot, if they're not in the right place, they wouldn't be able to absorb or do whatever they want to do. So you engage them in areas where they are interested.
Good. Yeah. I think you have experience as a father. Yeah. Good. Yeah. So that's exactly observing their nature and see what their tendency is and guide them in that direction. Okay.
Identify the mutual responsibility of the prospective guru and aspiring disciple.
Okay, Brenda, that's yours. No? Okay, everybody gets a chance.
Both the guru and the aspiring disciple should behave in a relationship for at least 1 year, where the aspiring disciple will inquire ask from the spiritual master and be able to see whether their heart will be receptive to those instructions, to those Yabani, the spiritual master Srila Prabhupada, and for the Guru to also test the disciple and also see if the disciple is correct.
I was just testing you. You passed. So the point is, yeah, mutual behaving, not only speaking and asking questions, but also playing the actual role of that you're in. Spiritual master should be executing his duties as a spiritual master, and the disciple should also see the spiritual master in light of whether he can take me back to Godhead or not, and ask relevant questions like that. Okay? Any other on this point? And the point for the disciple is to also act like they're already initiated. It's not like, I'm just going to hang out and then when I get initiated I'll get serious. No. It starts when you aspire. Okay.
Identify 3 ways we can purify our nature to help settle our varna.
What was those 3 ways that we brought up?
Through the rituals.
No.
Through the rituals. I don't remember exactly the wording.
It was three things.
Association, initiation.
That's called rites of passage. Yes.
Education and service.
Rites of passage was one, which is initiation. Okay. What was the other one?
Education.
And
service.
Training. Education and training. And the last one is following Srila Prabhupada's program. Morning program. In other words, following Prabhupada's way of engaging his disciples in the day-to-day activities. Okay? Good.
Identify 3 people we should consult to help settle our varna.
What was those 3 categories of people? Ekta? Yeah.
Raise a child with trusted seniors who know us well. And second, with qualified sees about past, present, future. And third is with teacher in a varnashram.
Good. Good. Okay, and I think last question.
Describe the perfect foundation for making our best contribution to Srila Prabhupada's Hare Krishna movement.
That was those last 3 slides that Prabhupada spoke. So.
To know our field of interest
and engage ourselves in the activities, keeping that interest and directing it towards Krishna.
Yeah, engaging our particular propensities, talents, abilities in the service of the Lord and as an offering to the Lord. Okay, that answers that question. So that concludes this particular mission, one called Finding Our Mission in the Mission. Did you learn something from this one? This one is one of the most important of all of the presentations because it's about where we fit in or how we can understand where we fit in. Like that. Yes, Sri Devi?
Guru Maharaj, if you can kindly shed some light on this tendency that is present in today's many young people. They watch a lot of YouTube's classes. I like this guru. Then after some time they change their mind. So basically guru shopping is going on. After some time now I like this person's class. Then I like that. And they never commit themselves to the process. So
Prabhupada talked about something similar. There was devotees, I remember, I think maybe Kirti Prabhu was aware that there was devotees who would travel from temple to temple. They would go for one temple for a while, and then they go to another temple. Or then they go to Vrindavan, then they go somewhere else. What did Prabhupada call that? Wanderlust? Wanderlust, he called it. Wanderlust. So that's the same thing. It's wanderlust within the mind. Wandering here, wandering there, trying to enjoy spiritual life without any commitment. After a while, people like that, they give up and they go back to something material. Prabhupada was he made it clear that you commit yourself to a particular place and serve in that place and develop it. Instead of jumping from this, this temple to that temple, to this place, to that place, like that. I want to experience Krishna consciousness in different places around the world. But where's your commitment? Where's your connection? It's the enjoying spirit in supposedly a spiritual way. And you see that. That's the same thing that's being done on a mental level. Maybe not traveling so much, but just surfing the net, just coming up with, let me hear this, let me hear that, let me hear this, like that. But if you ask them to do service, they don't have any time. Question? Yeah.
You just mentioned about the enjoying spirit, and so when we're engaged in something that we're interested in, you said we feel enthusiastic and thoughtful, but it's really important that it's not just the activity; it needs to be devotional. So right. How can we make sure that we don't just get caught up in the activity, enjoying the activity?
We have our spiritual teachers. We have our senior devotees who we can consult. And then you can be clear. When you do things on your own and things go wrong, then you wonder, maybe I shouldn't have did it. But when you do things under the guidance of authority and things go wrong, there's no problem, because you're in the right mode, you're in the right service. And things may go wrong, but that has nothing to do with the fact that you're, where you're supposed to be. And that's the problem the devotees will have. They'll do things on their own when things go wrong. Then they just think, oh, I should try something else. And then the same thing happens again. Things go wrong means things that don't come up to their standard of sense gratification. We should not try to enjoy Krishna consciousness, although Krishna consciousness is enjoyable. We should try to serve, and through service we experience the happiness, not through making the happiness our foremost focus. Yeah.
Maharaj, could you kindly explain about consultation, that we should consult mentors as well as teachers in the Varnashram system? I didn't understand qualified seers.
Well, the acharyas in the past.
Okay, so through Shastra reading.
Yeah. Well, Prabhupada would refer many times to Bhaktivinoda Thakur and his writings and his teachings. He would quote Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also. he would definitely quote his spiritual master also.
So much when we talk about Varnashram, Varnashram is, I agree, quite a big topic. When we say the four Varnas,
right?
Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, and when a bunch of individuals are, they're Kshatriyas, they're Shudras, they're Vaishyas, they're Brahmanas. Like, if we're telling a Shudra to do some work, and the Brahmana is directing that person, but when the society doesn't have the acceptance of the role, the present society is trained, in a way that they're not, they call me a Shudra, they call me a Vaishya, like that.
It's not accepted.
Yeah, so the present society, like if when I saw the slide of Dhruva Maharaj, being a 5-year-old child, he was very clear about what his Varna is, and he was very clear on what Narada is telling is not my business. And here we are lost. We don't know about our Varna, and if we know, we're not in the acceptance of that thing. So, how much acceptance is necessary?
Yeah, well, acceptance is necessary, but the Varna comes out by training, education and training. One can understand one's Varna. We heard that in the previous lesson about the Varnashram College. So Prabhupada really emphasized that in order to bring about this Varnashram system, we have to have a system of education that is very much geared to bringing this out. And then he called it the Varnashram College. But we're not doing it because we don't think it's relevant. And some people say, who also investigate, they say, well, people are generally, not completely, but generally working according to their nature in our society, but it's not done in an organized way. So that may also be true. But without the organization, then because each one complements the other, and therefore we are connected with each other in a more holistic way, and then that becomes a successful temple, a successful yatra, a successful project. Yeah. When everyone is working according to their nature and serving the Lord in that way. Yeah.
Guru Maharaj, if we could kindly shed some light on this. When we speak of the four Varnas, and we say the Brahmanas are the heads, and Shudras are the legs, there is, in Daivi Varnashram, there is no, it's a classless society. That means everyone is working according to their Varna to please the Lord. But in general, especially in India, the Shudras were looked down on by the higher classes.
Yeah, well, you're talking about material Varnashram.
Right. So now, with that spirit still pervading, if we tell people, you're a Vaishya, you're a Shudra, you're a this...
We don't tell people anything like that.
Okay.
We give them a chance to serve, and then through the service there may be an evaluation program to see how best they can serve. Or else we introduce them through the Varnashram College, either way.
Okay.
But we don't tell... In general, Kalo Sudra Sambhavan, everyone is born Sudra. Therefore, education training is required to bring out their actual Swadharma. Okay, we can stop here because we're right at 11 o'clock. Thank you. And can all come back and we'll hear some nectar from Shruti Kirti Prabhu, which is full of tattva also. nectarian tattva. Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki.